Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the State of Local Search 2025. Now, every year we bring together our panel of experts to look back at the year, discuss the big industry changes, and understand what really moved the needle. So I'm your host, I'm Jenny. Hello, I'm BrightLocal's Social and Community Manager. We've got a really exciting webinar for you all today. But first of all, I can see loads of you in the chat already. Say hello and where it is that you're dialing in from. We've got lots of people from, where are we? Vancouver, we've got Germany, Texas. We have got some, like, waiting for the New Year's countdown. Yes, I love that. Montana, Florida, Montreal. So many people from all over. Welcome along. So first, some housekeeping. Just to let everybody know that this webinar will be recorded. It's going to be sent to you via email after it ends, and you'll be able to find the replay on our YouTube channel or on the website. Now, today I'm really pleased to introduce Amanda Jordan, Ben Fisher, and Joy Hawkins. Bring everybody on stage. Hello, everyone. How are we all doing?
Great. How's everybody doing? Happy New Year.
Awesome. Hello and Happy New Year. Fantastic. Let's get going with some introductions. We'll get everybody to introduce yourself. Hello, Amanda. Hello. How are you doing? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Amanda Jordan. I'm the Director of Digital Strategy at Rickety Roo. We are pretty much full service SEO agency. We do the content, link building, all of it. I've been in SEO since 2011, and I really enjoy it because I'm super competitive and I like to win.
Love that. I think that's a great reason to be in SEO, is that you're super competitive and you love to win. Awesome. Now, Ben, hello. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, absolutely. Hey, everybody. My name is Ben Fisher. I'm a Google Business Profile product expert. And my company, Steady Demand, basically is filled with a couple product experts as well. And as you would think, we focus a lot on Google Business Profiles. And we're very well known for dealing with some of the hardest problems that deal with Google Business Profiles, up to and including, of course, suspensions and all that kind of nice fun stuff. But at the same time, we're also a full service agency. We do pretty much everything from organic SEO to not pay-per-click. That we don't do. But of course, anything that has to do with local and GPP.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Joy, over to you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Joy Hawkins. I'm from Canada and run an agency that employs people both in Canada and the US, and where we do local SEO. My job is basically figuring out Google's algorithm, which is my favorite thing to do. So I love puzzles, and like Amanda, I love winning, very competitive as well. Clearly, I need to play more games with Amanda here. But when I'm not working at my agency, I spend a lot of time on forums. You'll probably see me on Reddit, the Google forum, the local search forum, which we own and run, or on YouTube. We've been making a ton of YouTube videos lately.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, it's really good to have you all with us. We are going to look back at 2024. We're going to examine what made an impact, as well as look to the future of local in 2025. We'll then end the session with a Q&A. So everyone, get your questions in the live chat for our panel, and we will answer as many as we can. Cool. So let's kick things off. Let's look back at 2024. What are some of the changes that we have seen in local this year? Joy, would you like to kick us off?
Yeah, well, last year ended with, sorry, not last year, 2023 ended with a big update that made opening hours a ranking factor. So that was a pretty substantial way to start last year, changed a lot of search results. I would say that Google rolled out a lot of core algorithm updates that had some pretty substantial changes, not to LocalPack results, but organic. So we've seen, for our clients who are all local businesses, lawyers, dentists, home services, there's been a lot of fluctuation this year organically, like a ton. I'd say more than usual. So I think that's the biggest thing that I saw this year as far as change-wise when it came to SEO.
Interesting. Yeah, no, definitely. Amanda, I know you've got a few updates around reviews. Oh, can't hear Amanda.
You're muted, Amanda.
Sorry.
There we go. Got you back.
I found, I had a client who reached out about something very interesting. They saw all of a sudden that they had reviews from previous years just dropping off. And then GMB API did a study and found the same thing was happening. And apparently Google's going back and mostly removing positive reviews that had no response. So adding responses to your reviews may actually help them stay up longer and be less likely to be removed, as long as, of course, you're already meeting the other guidelines. So they're not from former employees or anything like that.
Yeah, no. I think, the fact that hundreds of reviews were actually removed in the first place, it must be pretty frustrating. But if you kind of found a way to get around that, that is, really, really interesting. Ben, finally, over to you. What have you seen this year or so?
I totally agree with Joy on this, of course, and that is that with local, we didn't really see the local 3-pack. Of course, we didn't see a ton of different things. We saw a lot of quality of life improvements come in, for merchants as well as mainly for consumers. Like those the neat little generative AI descriptions that are coming out now. Those are kind of interesting, right? But I think I also agree, it has to do a lot more with organic. We all know that organic SEO really will help our local SEO in many different ways. And one of the interesting things that we kind of started this year with our clients is actually a slight rise in voice types of queries, so more near me types of queries. And whether that's coming from, we don't know exactly where it's coming from. It might be coming from devices, who knows, might be from conversational search. But anyway, we just have seen a rise into that. So we are leaning a little bit into that.
The future is here. And is there one tactic or strategic change that actually had the most impacts on your clients in 2024? What is it that we found there? Amanda, would you like to kick us off?
Sure. Yeah. It's not necessarily like a change in the way that we currently do things, but we have been focusing heavily on internal linking and clustering content that is extremely localized. We're finding that super helpful just for broadening the number of related keywords that you rank for across your services. And making sure that you rank for those similar, but not exactly the same as your highest intent keywords as well.
And Ben, how about you? What was it that you have found in terms of strategic changes?
I guess you could say the other thing that we've started to really lean heavily into is trying to answer users' questions before they even ask them, right? Because, when we're doing SEO, we try to think more about the user than we think about Google. Users first. And so in kind of more preparation for AI overviews and things of that nature, also looking at the fact that you have to be able to provide a lot of that informational query data, basically. So we've been basically populating websites and many different other mediums, basically, that we get as we can with as many answers as we can. And it seems to actually be doing a pretty decent job. So.
Nice, awesome. And Joy, anything to add?
Yeah, so we focus a lot on on-site SEO is what I call it, but just optimizing websites and stuff. So we do a ton of content. And one shift that we've been making in the last 6 months is I think the age of SEOs writing content on behalf of their clients is slowly dwindling. I'm not saying it doesn't work at all, but it's less effective than it used to be. So for example, say you're a lawn care company, I could write a page about lawn care, but I'm not a lawn care expert. I have no real life experience dealing with lawns, and no stories and no examples, and no data. And we're finding that Google really likes, firsthand experiences. Is why we're seeing Reddit everywhere in the search results. It's why we're seeing forums everywhere. They want to actually know that it's a real, genuine thing. And frankly, just writing a piece of content doesn't really accomplish that. So what we've been noticing is having things like facts and figures, numbers, grabbing those from clients, and that has a huge impact, positive impact on ranking and traffic. So we've been trying to shift away from writing the content to actually interviewing our clients on a regular basis, asking them the questions, getting the facts from them, so that really it's their content, and then kind of using AI a bit to make that content better and more SEO friendly. And that way it's still their expertise, right? It's very different than saying hey, AI, write me a piece of content on lawn care. Instead it's just, taking a transcript, which is much, much easier.
Yeah, no, that's really, really it just feels like a really kind of real life sort of experience that you can really kind of get on board with your clients. We've mentioned AI. The big AI klaxon has gone off. This time last year, you all weren't sure that AI was actually refined enough yet to kind of know what sort of impacts that it would have. What are your thoughts now, a year on? Joy, let's kick off with you. I know you've had some interesting experiences with those in the legal industry.
Yeah, so I think you have to break this into two categories. You've got AI like tools that send traffic possibly to websites because people could do searches on them. And then you have AI on Google. So I'll speak to the AI on Google. We call them AI overviews. And before that, there was other names for them, which just makes it more confusing. I'm just going to call them AI overviews. So AI overviews have rolled out to a lot of our clients. Like if you'd asked me a year ago, they were non-existent for most queries. And especially in August, we deal with a lot of lawyers. So in August, there was a significant increase in the amount of AI overviews for legal terms. And I think I gave you a URL, but there was actually like a company that did a study on it and which industries AI overviews were showing up more for. And around August, they substantially increased in the lawyer industry. So we were looking to see, like, does this actually impact traffic to our lawyer client sites? And it does, like, substantially. We had cases where we had clients that ranked for very specific terms in the first position. They held their first position and they had 50% traffic drop. Like, I'm not making that up, like 50% less clicks in the first position compared to like the month before. And it was kind of cool to be able to align that with when we saw these increases to AI overviews. So I do think AI overviews are a threat to traffic to websites. Like if you make money based on traffic to your website, you're going to have problems with some of this new stuff. Now our clients do not. They don't make money based on traffic. They make money based on leads. And we found for a lot of this traffic, it's not converting traffic anyways. I'd still say it's a negative for SEO though, because you still want the traffic to your website. Even if it doesn't convert, you can use that page to funnel, SEO stuff to your other pages. And I don't think it's a good trend, but it's definitely one that we have to deal with now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Amanda, oh, go on, Ben.
I was just going to say, to dovetail into that, the one thing that I believe and I see here is that it is starting to change users' behavior. Especially like when ChatGPT, Search GPT, right, came out, and they now have, say, a Mac desktop app. I'm using a Mac, and I can tell you that I probably never go to Google now. I just have my ChatGPT window up. I ask my queries, look at the data, looks good, I move on, basically. So that's my behavior. I have to start wondering about how other people's behavior, of course, is too. And I think we saw, about a 3% dip? I think it was about 3% or 5% dip in search queries is what they recorded now that Search GPT is out, really. And so I think there is a threat there, but I think there's also a lot of opportunities there for us as well, and really figuring that out. And one of the things I think that we did discover this year, and I believe it was Lily Ray, I want to say, is that, or it was maybe Mark Tropican is who it was, SEO Clarity, where they showed that, for instance, if you were basically ranking in the top 10 of search results, you're probably going to get into the AI overview. And so that, I think, is really good news for our industry as a whole, and also for our customers that were kind of battling on all fronts.
Absolutely. Amanda, you're doing lots of nodding there. You seem to be in, lots of agreement. What are your thoughts?
Definitely agree. I've been paying close attention to Search GPT and the potential implications for local SEO. I don't see it as a threat to Google at the moment. It's not very good at actually using the sources that it says it's using. Most of the time, it's not using many of them. It may be using one or two. So that is one of the issues with the way that it is currently being, I guess, the whatever algorithm they're using for that is currently being used. But I do see an opportunity, especially because it's integrating with Apple. So Apple has, if you have a newer Apple device, it can integrate with ChatGPT right now. It's already on my laptop. It's on my phone. So, and when you ask Siri, it's going to ask you if you want the ChatGPT answer. So this is potentially something that can impact local SEO in a greater way. But in its current form, it's not super great for local SEO, but I can see that quickly changing in the next like couple of months.
It's so bad. Like, I don't know if you guys have messed around with it at all, but I would encourage people to like actually search on ChatGPT and try and find a local business. Like, the results are terrible. And like their sources are like MapQuest or like some really stupid, like outdated directories. So the amount of like non-existent businesses it'll return, it's high. Like I won't use it because it's so bad.
It's got a ways to go for local.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, but you can see a lot of Yelp integration coming that is coming through these results. So, I mean, if you just look a little bit further on the curve, we can see that maybe by the end of this year, they might figure out local a little bit better. I think it's just that in the grand scheme of things, is when it comes to it, the numbers are just higher in general search than they are in local search. So it's probably a lower kind of dev type of thing for them to get adoption that way. But yeah, no, I mean, now it's currently in its current state is useless across the board.
Love it. I love the thought of thinking that the people behind it are thinking, yeah, we've made this really great thing that's going to be really helpful, especially for local search. And we're here just like, no, not at all.
It's like Bing is way better. And I don't use Bing because I think Bing is inferior to Google, but it's way better than ChatGPT for accuracy.
Love that. I'm gonna have to try and use Bing a bit more, do a bit more searching and a bit more testing. Let's look to the future in 2025. The year is here. Do you anticipate any major shifts in the works for Google Business Profile, or do you think we're just going to have that same ebb and flow, the sort of tiny updates, the little features getting added that we're just so sort of used to? Ben, let's kick off with you.
Yeah, sure. I mean, as far as for this year, I think that going on this trend of us talking a little bit about AI here, I think we are going to start seeing some more features that come to GBP as far as AI goes. I mean, it just makes sense to be able to help merchants, get things done in GBP without actually having to do anything. And we've already seen it in, specifically one area, of course, the generative description. We were talking about the editorial snippet earlier. And it's not crazy to think about them doing stuff with the reviews and posts and hours and all sorts of anything, basically, where there's a data point, that maybe even the services just automatically being generated. They're kind of generated right now with predefined, but maybe even further. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much what's going to be the major change this year as far as GBP goes.
Yeah, I was talking to a guy the other day on Reddit, and he was like, I'm going to develop a tool that can respond to Google reviews using AI. And I was like, if it's that simple, don't spend your money and your time on it, because Google's probably going to come up with it, or another tool that's got a massive user base, which you don't have, can easily add it. So I would really be careful on spending a ton of time on AI stuff, just knowing Google's probably going to produce it. If it's that simple.
Love it. Amanda, how about you? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm kind of the same mind as Ben. I don't see there being a ton of crazy changes going on this year, and primarily because with local, Google appears to be more reactive than proactive. So the biggest changes we saw before were related to COVID. Sorry to remind everyone of it, but the pandemic is what caused those changes. Without that, we would probably be where we were 3 or 4 or 5. It feels like it was just yesterday still, but we would probably be similar to where we were before it happened if it did not happen. I think they need either some competition or some change in behavior from users to really make a bigger change. So it'll be interesting to see if they prove me wrong, but I've seen them be more reactive than proactive when it comes to local.
Absolutely. Let's talk about AI overviews again. I would love to find out, what do we currently know about AI overviews and those local results? What is it that marketers need to know right now? What should they be doing? Joy, let's kick off with you.
Yeah, if you had asked me this a year ago, I mean, they used to be very non-localized. So what we would see often for queries is that it would show sites nationwide. So you could do a query down in Texas and you'd get a site from Georgia, which isn't helpful. They're getting better at that. So they're becoming more and more of something that you'd want to target. So we are developing strategies to target these, and they are different than featured snippets. So like I've done a ton of work on like how to get a featured snippet, like how to rank in one of those. If you're position 1, like what do you need to do to get the featured snippet? The AI overviews are different. Like it's a different algorithm, but it's still an algorithm. So it's still something as a marketer that you can figure out and get into. And I would say, especially on desktop, you'd want to get into them. On mobile, the link is like non-existent. Like it is so hard to get to it. I think mobile is going to be the biggest problem for losing traffic from the AI overviews. So just make sure you're tracking that accordingly.
Yeah, good to know. Ben, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's still, I think, coming down to focusing on your informational queries, right? At the end of the day, if you can provide the right kind of information, then you're going to get into the AI overviews, basically, or you're going to get into search in one way or another. We're lucky, actually. I mean, was just doing a couple searches on about reinstatements and found out actually we had like 2 or 3 pieces of our content actually in the AI overview links and referenced in the AI overview itself. And I was like, oh, isn't that neat? So, and it actually drives traffic though, and it actually converts, which is cool, I guess, in that aspect, right? But the thing I like to talk about though is controlling the narrative. And I think the work that Joy, that you're doing, with Reddit and your research and all of your engagement over there, I think is great, because that is really what I'm talking about here, by controlling the narrative. And if somebody's, say talking about your brand or talking about something that has to deal with your brand, getting out there and getting ahead of it and at least monitoring those types of conversations, because at the end of the day, I think that data really is going to be feeding a lot of the AI overviews that are out there.
Awesome. Amanda, any additions to those?
Yeah, just to piggyback on what Ben was just saying, is that like those things are also going to be important for ranking, likely be important for ranking for AI tools too, because the more relevant you are and the more present you are on these other third-party sites, the more Barnacle SEO you focus on, that also will likely help you across search tools in the future, especially if they're what's ranking now. A lot of our clients are home services, or they're very focused on the clear intent of commercial and transactional keywords. So we don't have a lot of AI overview things that we see, just because like we're looking for keywords like best plumber in Atlanta. Those are types of keywords we're going to rank for, and AI overviews have not made it there yet. And I'm saying yet because I do think it is a real possibility. They did test out a larger, like an actual local viewpoint of the AI overview previously, where you did get like a list of 5 businesses that they recommended. So that could change, but right now it's not that much of an issue for those who are focused heavily on commercial intent keywords, but I can see that changing potentially this year.
Yeah,
I've seen a few. They're scary, like where it actually recommends businesses at the top, and it's like, hey, if you're looking for this lawyer in this city, you should get this firm or that firm. And I'm like, what is this doing?
Exactly.
It's terrible.
On the negative side too.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, it's terrible. I'm not convinced consumers would trust that section, but I guess time will tell.
Yeah, it's a really, really interesting point. Absolutely, yeah, especially around the sort of trust there. Let's kind of widen the picture in terms of the tactics that you are going to bring with you from 2024 to 2025 that are most going to benefit your clients. Amanda, we'll kickstart with you. I know you've got some ideas around conversion rate optimization.
Yeah, so we're thinking not just about SEO, we're kind of getting into SEO adjacent practices. So conversion rate optimization is becoming something that is increasingly important to our agency, because our clients aren't just looking for traffic, they're looking for leads. And the better the site converts people who visit the site, the more leads that they can have, and the more we can contribute that to organic and the work that we're doing. So conversion rate optimization has become something that is super important to our team. We enjoy doing testing around it too, because some of those learnings can be used across different websites as well, determine what works and what doesn't work, as far as what are users expecting to experience, when are there dead clicks, like when someone expects for something to be a button and it's not, those types of things, and fixing those things can really go a long way, surprisingly.
Yeah, really good stuff. Ben, any tactics from you?
Not really. I mean, a lot of what was working last year was really, I guess you could say, good SEO practice, right? Again, we go back to the optimization for the user. Of course, there's the technical side of things, but continually keeping that kind of the forefront and just kind of more, again, kind of looking over the hill and saying, okay, well, if we need to optimize for things like, in the future, like conversational search, things of that nature, like how are we going to do that? So it's kind of more thinking along those lines for this year, I think.
Fantastic. And Joy, any thoughts your end?
Yeah, I think when it comes to content and link building, those are the things that we've changed the most, but the things that have stayed the same, I'd say like our approach to local pack rankings is pretty much the same. Rebranding your business, including keywords in your business name, still works just as well as it did 10 years ago. So if you haven't jumped on that train yet, maybe this is the year to do it. As well as like really understanding Google's local algorithm has a lot of filters in place. And I do think these have changed a bit in the last few months. So I'm currently in the process of like studying some of the changes and trying to figure out what the patterns are. And I plan on sharing it when I figure it out, but it's taking me a long time. A couple examples of that would be like if you're a multi-location business, like picking an ideal location for your new offices is huge. Like you don't want to just like go out shopping and just pick a location. Like it could make a huge difference in how much traffic and leads you will get. And we've seen cases where like having multiple listings for the same business, like practitioner listings, department listings, things like that actually can hurt you. So, it's not as simple as like, you want all the listings everywhere. Although that strategy works well if you have kiosks, but yeah, I think that's strategy part of it, and helping bigger brands. That's a skill that is really still the same as it was like a year ago.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yep.
Really, yeah, good stuff. Cool. So hot takes. What is your single biggest prediction for 2025? Joy, we'll kick off with you.
I think Google is going to start pushing social media more for small businesses. So we saw it beginning with the, you can go and add your social links, which is like whoop-de-doo. Like it's not like the biggest feature ever that they added last year, but what I'm starting to notice, and Sterling Sky actually has this for our knowledge panel, some people, I think Ben's company does too, I don't know, instead of Google posts, they actually show our Instagram posts or our Facebook posts, it keeps rotating, instead of Google posts. And so you search our name if you get our knowledge panel, they're starting to do that on mobile. And I've seen that with a few brands. And that's intriguing to me because I'm like, oh yeah, that's another way to push social media, for small businesses. And now we're seeing on desktop, we're starting to see these like carousels that are posts from like Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, etc., for like restaurant queries and like lots of really hyper local queries. So I do think that Google's trying to grab any authentic content they can that they know is real to kind of fight off all of the garbage they are being fed written by bots.
Absolutely. Yeah, as a social media manager, I am, I also kind of predict the same. And I think that's actually a really sort of exciting thing for, social media and search to, kind of join forces with and, really make the feed and the search results just a lot richer. So totally can see that happening. Ben, how about you? What's your hot take for 2025?
All right, my hot take for 2025 is actually a little bit of a prediction as well, I guess you could say, but also from just some personal use and also seeing some other people doing this, not just me. And that is that I think that beyond conversational search, right, which I consider conversational search when you're either using Gemini or using, basically any of the answer engines really to ChatGPT. And you're having a conversation live and you can interrupt the answer basically, which by the way, it's just text in the background that's being read to you. That's actually how it's functioning at the moment, but it sounds like you're actually having a conversation and you can really interrupt it and ask further questions or delve into different topics or whatever. And so I am an early adopter and I use the Meta AI glasses and I've been using these things for about 6 months now. And one of the interesting things that I found out from a local perspective is I was hanging out in Vegas with me and my crew. We're out there having a retreat, and I was able to walk around the MGM and get all sorts of information about the different types of businesses that were in there. We were thinking about going to a place basically for dinner, happened to be right around the corner. Okay, didn't know exactly how to get there, asked for directions on how to get there, asked about the current menu, what was going on, if somebody had this kind of basically dietary restriction, was it on the menu, could they deal with that? And it was able to answer all of these questions for me in real time as I was actually on my way and walking to the restaurant itself. And there was many other different types of things that you could do basically just by having AI at your disposal in a sense, right? So I think that eventually one day this is going to probably, even Zuckerberg said this the other day, this is probably going to replace the phone. I'm definitely a believer in wearables, and I think that really that we as an industry marketers need to start looking at how these wearables are going to affect our local clients.
Honestly.
How are you going to track those, Ben? That's the real question.
I have no idea because I have no idea how the queries come in yet. I think actually, believe it or not, I think that software is all just kind of at this point being built, right? Because what we have right now from a wearables perspective, it's like an old flip phone, basically. There's hardly any real tech going on in it. But once it gets to Minority Report level or close to it, like with LEDs and AR overlays and things like that, which by the way is probably going to happen this year. Samsung's already got it. That's when we are going to need to look at it. We're going to be need to start testing it actually probably and saying, okay, well, are there any kind of parameters coming through that we can track? What can we do basically to filter that traffic? And hopefully we can see it inside of Google Search Console or something. Maybe.
Yeah, that's the future. Yeah, the future is here, and it's honestly mind-blowing. Amanda, over to you for your single biggest prediction for 2025.
Yeah, I think as far as AI integration and usage with search, I think we're going to have someone kind of pull ahead as a clear winner, even more so than there is now. I'm not holding my breath that it's going to be Bing or anything like that, but I think that there is going to be someone who differentiates themselves just because Google has all of their wearables and things like that, and the ability to track all of that. And now ChatGPT is working with Apple. So there is an opportunity for one of them to pull ahead of the other. I do think Google has a better head start for sure, because Apple was not doing anything along these lines really up until very recently. So we'll see who comes ahead. But I do think this is maybe an opportunity where there's going to be a significantly more competition for Google, and especially on the AI front.
Fantastic. Yeah, definitely some good things that hopefully might come out of this year ahead. Just in addition to some of those kind of thoughts and questions, I guess, what advice would you give businesses today to future-proof their local search strategies for the next decade? Has anyone got any kind of good advice that they have for businesses right now?
A decade's a long time.
I was going to say a decade.
5 years, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years.
I mean, we're talking 6 months, maybe a year.
6 months, yeah.
I'll go first. I think that diversifying your marketing sources is really huge. So I would not put all your eggs in Google's basket, in the sense that Google has even been doing this. They've been pushing in the last year more towards brand. So that's one of the big things we've seen with the core updates. They are pushing out lead gen sites. They are pushing out people that they don't think are actually experts. So the affiliate marketing section of SEO, I love following them. Their goal is to put up sites so that you click and they make money, and they're literally funneling you to other sites. A lot of them died, completely died in the last year. Not all of them, but that's an interesting trend, because it used to be the case years ago that we'd see a lot of lead gen sites ranking. I don't know what the future are for directories, but I feel like if you can't get user generated content, they're probably in trouble too. We see less and less of these localized directories ranking, unless they have a lot of user generated content like reviews and people contributing content and stuff like that. So I definitely think that is a trend to kind of notice and be aware of. What you do with that, I mean, again, just get your own data. I think that if you become the publisher, so I try this with my agency, right? We publish a ton of case studies, a ton of information, and I try to go for stuff that's not already out there. I don't want to do a blog on the 10 best local SEO tips for 2025. We literally avoid stuff like that. Instead, I'm trying to come up with data-backed case studies. And I would say any local business should be doing that too. If you're a handyman, hey, we did this project. If you want a kitchen remodel, this is how much it's going to cost. This is how much time it took. This is our turnaround time, before and after pictures, like things like that. It applies to pretty much every industry.
Brilliant. Amanda, any additions to that?
I was just thinking, like, even beyond industry, it applies to pretty much every type of site where you want someone to take an action on a site. I think this applies to e-commerce sites too. I do like sometimes consult an e-commerce site where they are a leading company for their products. So they are a reseller, but the only person that can possibly beat them out most of the time is the manufacturer. And it's because they spent so much time building up that brand and trust, not just across their website, but on third-party sites too, that it's difficult to overtake them in any way, because they're known. They are just associated with what they offer so heavily that it's hard for someone to knock them down. I think that a lot of local businesses are going to have to think about that too. And are they truly locally relevant? Are they thinking about their entire marketing ecosystem, not just digital marketing and not just SEO? Because they're all going to be playing a part in the future, especially if we're getting into wearables and things like that, like Ben is talking about.
That's a great point. But I was just thinking about one other thing that we haven't said here, and that I think we should, because it is 2025, and that is something that I didn't believe before, but now I do. And that is that citation. Okay, everybody get ready to grasp. Citations actually do matter a little bit more this year. And here's why. I actually have some reasons for this. And I'm not saying that, Joe Schmo's directory or something like that is important, right? I think we're still all in agreement that the top tier is what matters the most. However, that being said, back onto AI just really quickly, is if we do look at those results that are being produced, a lot of the data, especially the review data, is being pulled from Yelp. Whether we like it or not, it is being pulled from Yelp. So it is something to watch. And the fact that we were also talking about something which is just basically your brand consistency, data consistency, I think is also important too, because just the way that LLMs work. And they have to work on lots of different points of data, lots of data being fed to it. So if the data coming in is garbage, the data coming out is going to be garbage. So we need to control as much of that as possible. And one of those ways from a local SEO perspective we can do that is by clarifying a lot of data and citations.
Absolutely. Yeah, we recently did a research piece that we've just shared in the chat, the business listings visibility study that showcased how well different listings types rank for different types of searches. So check out that study for some of the results. It basically comes up with the data behind what you've just said there. So yeah, really, really, really interesting stuff. Fantastic. Well, we've got some time to answer questions from people in the chat. Thanks everyone for asking questions. We've got a big list to work through. If you do have a question, just type Q plus your question in the live chat and we will get through as many as we can. So let's kick off with a question. What have we got? Great. So what distance from a business is considered local in 2025? And how would you differentiate tactics for a client who also wants to expand beyond their immediate area to a more regional but in-state strategy? Anyone want to kick us off with that one?
So I can answer that one. Depends on if you're talking about the local pack or organic. Organic, way wider. So like organic is usually a city level. So if you're in Tampa and you have content targeted to Tampa, then you should rank for a large radius around Tampa with that content. Now for local pack rankings, it really wildly depends on your industry. So if you're a restaurant, for example, your radius is going to be very small, like a couple blocks kind of thing. If you are a lawyer, for example, your radius is going to be much larger. It all comes down to how many other competitors you are competing against. So we like to look and see like how many people are actually in that city for that keyword. The higher that number, the harder it's going to be for you to increase your radius, but there is not a single number that applies to every industry.
Awesome. Any additions to that?
Well, that pretty much sums it up. I mean, it's a pretty logical question. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. What have you got next? So Audrey asks, it seems like Google is still ranking location pages that are keyword stuffed and not written user first. Is broadening the keywords on location pages the answer to this? Many of our clients' location pages are ranking on the first page, but not within the first 5 results. Anyone want to kick us off for this one?
I can kick us off with this
Okay.
one. Keyword stuffing to some extent will work. Part of that is going to be based on what is the competition level in that area, and how are they doing their internal linking, how are they doing their backlinking. There's going to be other factors in play as well, and in addition to just the content. So it would be really interesting to see what else those competitors are doing outside of content that could be impacting their rankings as well. Because there could be other things that play, because there's more than what the content on the page impacts their organic rankings. So there could be elements at play that we haven't looked into yet.
So my answer to this has actually changed in the last year. If you asked me this a year ago, I would say that you kind of want usually a standard like 1 page per location. We have clients that literally have thousands of service area pages, and you would think that these are like doorway pages, whatever. They rank very well and do just fine. And then there's other industries where they don't work at all. So I'd say, your mileage may vary, but I think when it comes to like how many pages you want per location, I'm starting to see trends on the organic side that would show the more the better almost, which is weird, not a direction I would have expected Google to go to, but like we're seeing really niche topics doing better. So for example, if you're like an HVAC company, do you want to have an air conditioning, a furnace repair, a new furnace, list all the different pages per geo? Like previously it was like, well, if you have one like hub page per geo that you're targeting, that's better because you can funnel all your links and all your equity to that one page and it ranks better. We're seeing now opposite trends where it's like, actually the people that have all the millions of pages are actually ranking better. Which is weird. Don't know if it's going to stick, but that's the trend I'm seeing.
I can actually, I 100% agree with you, because we've been doing that for at least the past year, really focused heavily in on that. Location pages with some nested services pages underneath of that. And it works, it's effective. I think as long as you're, again, kind of going back to that, you answering a user's question, and you're developing it for a user and not for Google, like not sticking every single widget you can on a location page, for instance, then usually you get good dividends.
There's some industries where they don't work though. I'll tell you that, like dentists don't work at all. And I think it comes down to like who you're competing against in the search results. If all the results are like home pages of other dentists, like in that case, that's why you have a tough time beating those out, because they have so many links pointing to them. If you're like a garage door repair business, you're basically like competing usually with other inner like longer pages that are within the site, and it's easier to get rankings for industries like that.
Brilliant. Awesome, thank you. Right, next question. Nikki has asked, will ranking on AI overviews be as beneficial as ranking in featured snippets, since the answers are so much more complete? I wonder how many visits will truly come from AI overviews. Nice. Who would like to kick off?
I think it's too early to tell.
I feel like, yeah.
But I will say that I think that, and I think we're already seeing this, is that the zero-click type of search environment is probably getting a little more intense. It's going to get increased, just simply because, just like the question's asking. I mean, if I can go to Google, right, and just type it in and get a response, say about a recipe, for instance, or something like that, I'm probably going to take it for its word and be like, yeah, that sounds like a great recipe. I'm going to go try that. But I never actually went to the recipes website to actually go check it out or do anything. So I think we are going to see the rise of that. And again, how are we going to handle that? How are we going to track it? And that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, Nick, he asked me that question in 3 months. I'm collecting a ton of examples and ones where we took over the AI overview, and we have both, and I'm tracking to see like how much traffic increased and seeing if I can like actually isolate what's from the AI overview versus the featured snippet. So hopefully I'll know that at some point in the next few months.
Exciting. Amanda, anything to add to that?
No, I agree with what was said, so I don't have anything really to add to that one.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, yeah, Joy, looking forward to that study. Definitely. That should be a really, really good one. Next question. Are there any plans of how to optimize on TikTok? Oh, not speaking about TikTok yet, as searches are being used for local services products on TikTok. Has anyone forayed into TikTok yet?
I have a little bit, not for local, but just generally. I do know that TikTok is not very good at showing you local products and services currently, and there's a good chance it will not be available in the US next month. So it depends. I guess part of it's going to depend on where you're located. So if you're outside of the US, you probably have a better shot at this point, but it'll show me restaurants for cities 2 hours away from me. So it's not really dialed in to focus on your people around you necessarily. So I think it's probably a little bit too early. I don't think that's the focus of TikTok either. So I don't think that's like one of the things that they're really looking to do. I think you probably have a better chance if you go viral of being seen by people who are local to you. So I wouldn't spend too much time for a local business to think that they're going to get a lot of traffic or potential leads from TikTok unless they service people nationwide and they can ship to them.
I would say that while I agree with all of that our generation maybe is not the target here. I think it's the younger generation. When I speak to people in their 20s and 30 years old, they go, "Oh, I went to TikTok it. I just went to go look at it up on TikTok." Especially like even being here in Arizona, which is, we've got all sorts of attractions and neat stuff down here in Phoenix. I go for my discovery onto TikTok, actually. If I'm looking for something cool to go do downtown, I want to go look at it. I want to see it. I want to see somebody doing it, because driving downtown's horrible. So, but no, seriously. But on the flip side of that is to what Joy was speaking about earlier, and I think this is also just as important, and that is that Google is incorporating more and more social into search, period. It's just going to happen. And so we're going to see much more visual content like TikTok come into Google search. So we need to figure it out, for our clients. We just need to figure it out. I guess that would be the point, takeaway.
I think it's more like branding. Like it's like a billboard, right? Like think about like you see a realtor on a billboard, you're not like, oh my God, I'm gonna go call that realtor right now and hire them right now, right?
Sure.
Right. That's not how it works. But like at the same time, I've seen some lawyers get viral on some of their videos and stuff. They're ridiculous. And like kids will like sing their jingles and like know their names and stuff. So that branding has an impact. It's just a lot harder to measure. But I think long-term, Google is looking at signals of how popular a brand is. So if you can use social media to get your brand more popular, that should inherently like help your rankings on Google and help some of that stuff that actually is transactional.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think for me personally, I could talk about TikTok for hours, but we won't. Let's ask. Cara asks, do you think there'll be one social media platform that we should prioritize over the others for SEO purposes? Have we seen anything there?
The ones that your target demographic are using the most. That's the answer. Whatever they're using the most is the place you need to be more than anywhere else.
Solid.
Go ahead.
You're like, Instagram's probably for restaurants, right? Like it's there's so much variation. I'd say YouTube probably in general would be my answer. But to your point, Amanda, like if you're a restaurant, Instagram is like way more important than YouTube. So yeah.
See, I thought Joy was going to say Reddit, actually, at this point.
Actually, you know what, Ben? You're right. Reddit. Yeah, Reddit is such a contender. And the cool thing about Reddit is there are subreddits for every locality and multiple ones. Like you look at how many there are for like Toronto, it's like crazy. And they're so active. And there are people asking about stuff all the time that's local. It is really hard for a marketing company to do anything with this. This is really on the local business side. If you're like a business owner watching this, like, yeah, get on Reddit, like for real. Good point, Ben. I don't know why I forgot to say that.
I mean, it's just, and I love Reddit. I mean, I watch the stuff that you're doing on Reddit, I think, which is great. But I also look at it from the data aspect of things. I mean, we talked about this a little bit last year. I mean, Google bought that fire hose, which is Reddit. Why? I mean, there's really good reasons probably behind this. It was a lot of money, multiple Bs. So, is it feeding the AI overviews? Is it feeding search in other ways? Who knows? But we do know that when you do a search, you're going to see an accordion of Reddit stuff, whether it's on mobile or desktop. And I mean, personally, my behavior has changed a little bit too. When I am looking for stuff, if the AI overview doesn't trigger, I go straight to Reddit. Or sometimes I'll just type in my query plus Reddit, and I will get a conversation that'll give me what I need, basically. So I think that is absolutely something we should focus on. Yep.
I do think there's an interesting opportunity for TikTok or a social media platform like TikTok to be the visual version of Reddit and the video version of Reddit, because people go to both of them for authentic experiences and hearing directly from people who are using products and using services versus being sold to by a company or a marketer. So I think there's an opportunity for both of those things being used together, whether it's TikTok or some other version of a platform that's similar.
Yeah, I do want to just chime in and say that, like, do not just go recommend yourself on Reddit. I can't tell you how many clients I've seen do this. They or even they go like really dark and buy aged Reddit accounts and then recommend themselves from multiple things. We ban people from our subreddits all the time that do this. So it happens a lot on Reddit. You need good moderators to catch this kind of stuff. Otherwise, the subreddit just goes to trash. Don't do that. Like, it's the same thing with Google reviews. You want to genuinely be helpful. And then in the future, somebody seeing that thread will be like, oh, that guy was so helpful and he's so smart. He knows what he's talking about. So do not be self-serving.
Exactly.
Brilliant. We've got time for a couple more questions. What have we got next? John asks, what is the best way to protect GBPs from Google's AI tools scraping the web and trying to add helpful
updates
to them, which are actually outdated data? Nice.
Ben, this is all Ben.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So the answer is you're not going to be able to, and here's why. Is basically we'll just from the danger to the GBP side of things. Actually, I take it back. There's a way you can do it. You can do it through your robots.txt. Through robots.txt, as long as there's a directive available for each one of the search engines, like with Search GPT, you can absolutely block it. Gemini, you can absolutely block it. Just make sure you don't block everything, because if you do that, then eventually your GBP will absolutely get suspended because it can't access your website, and therefore you are basically dead to them. So yeah, you can do it, actually. Just be really careful about how you do it.
Have you ever used the API just to revert changes instantly?
You don't want to do that.
No? Okay.
No. Yeah.
I've done it without problems, but I don't know how to. You do it at scale, maybe it's
the only thing I can say, it's more about the frequency and the way that it's done through the API, because it's not inherently the change is actually doing it through the API is not actually good or bad. It's actually the mechanics that go behind it. So in other words, if you're changing that name 30 times a day, yeah, you're probably going to get suspended. You know that. But yeah, the API doesn't give you that much of an advantage.
Brilliant. Awesome. Amanda, Joy, any other additions?
I was going to say the API. Apparently, Ben disagrees with me, but that's been my go-to. And I know there's a lot of big companies out there that use the GMB or GBP API to revert stuff, because we'll update a listing and then it'll just smash it right back the next time it updates. So there is some level of control that you can do with that, with either a tool that utilizes the API, or obviously you can build your own too.
Fab. What have we got next? Mike asks, how do you optimize for voice search? Do we know this yet? Is this early days or?
I think it's still way too early. I mean, we're talking about conversational search a little bit earlier, right? Mentioned that, but even that is still text-based search on the back end. And so I think that what you're doing currently is already optimizing for voice search, really, as long as you're answering those questions.
Great. Amanda or Joy, any additions to that?
Yeah. There's no such thing as optimizing for voice search from an optimization perspective. There's nothing additional that you have to do.
Right.
Brilliant. Cool. What have we got next? Next question. Marissa, looking to the future of AI overviews on Google, what's the best way to track traffic coming from those AI overviews or any other different places on the search results page? Can we do that yet?
We're in Google's mercy right now. Like, you just pray to the Googlers to, put that feature in Search Console.
Yeah. I mean, somebody will figure it out.
Mm.
I think didn't they just do something recently with AI overviews?
We can track them.
Yeah,
Right.
We can track
Yeah.
them. Yeah, I think for rank tracking, absolutely, it's on tools to figure out a way to incorporate this for sure.
And I don't remember who put it out there, but I think somebody also saw that ChatGPT is automatically inserting a UTM that says Search GPT, if I remember correctly. So
yeah, you can track those in GA4 easily. Like, that's easy. Like, I know
okay.
Andy just said Dana DiTomaso. She's done lots of guides on this, like how to track AI in GA4, but I think this is talking about like just on Google. Until Google segments it, you don't know if the click came from an AI overview or like an organic SERP or whatever. They all look the same.
Awesome. Great stuff. Let's have another question, and then I should have time for one more. Manny asks, in 2024, I heard someone online talk about using AI for blogs and then asking AI to rewrite the content and make it look like it was written by a person and not AI, and that content would rank better than AI. What are your thoughts? This is on AI written content. Anyone got any strong thoughts around this?
I think we all have strong thoughts on this one. Joy, go.
All right. I'm trying not to answer first. Yeah, I would not use AI to write content. I would feed AI stuff and then ask it to organize it, but the hallucinations are insane. It will make up stuff like nobody's business. It'll make up sources that sound so legit, like government sources that don't even exist. So do not use AI to write content, but do use it as like a tool. Like I said, like feed it a transcript. If me and Ben had a conversation about local SEO, I could feed that transcript in and it would come up with awesome content. But yeah, I don't think it really matters if you have AI writing your content or humans. That's not the point. It's the accuracy that you should be worried about, because AI is really bad at accuracy.
Extremely. However, you could just go ahead and take all of Joy's articles, all of her case studies, everything, throw it into Notebook LM, right? And then have a podcast created that is all about what Joy was discussing in those articles, and then you can query against all of those articles as well. No.
Are you really encouraging plagiarism? Yeah. Okay.
Don't do that. But no, I completely agree with Joy here. It was great back in the day when we were like, oh, you could create outlines, do all this, and you could still create outlines, of course, but it's great for ideation. It's just not great for ground up creation. You need a person there. At the very minimum, you need an editor. You need somebody who's like a journalist. We've got like 16 on our team. And so a journalist can pick apart and fact check things very quickly, or just remove tons of data that the AI spits out. So.
Yeah, my thing is like, if it's like, this is only taking one extra step other than just using the AI content as it came. So there's not anything that you're providing that they can't just get directly from Google in an AI overview if you're just using AI content and then having it rewrite it as if it wasn't AI. So I would think about what is the goal of the content and what value you're trying to provide to the site visitor or user, and put that before everything else, because it's like at some point, no matter what, that AI content is going to be obsolete and not provide any value. Even if it ranks well for a week, it will eventually drop off. It's not going to stay at all.
Brilliant. Awesome. Well, that's all we have got time for. So thank you very much to our panel. Thank you to Amanda, Joy, and Ben. Once again, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. And thank you to everyone who has asked questions and joined in the live chat. You can follow our panelists we're all on various social media channels at the moment. So give them a follow: LinkedIn, Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads.
Everybody go to Blue Sky. Go to Blue Sky.
Love it. I think Abigail is sharing LinkedIn links in the chat, so definitely go and follow everyone there. And if you want to get ahead with your local SEO learning, head on over to BrightLocal Academy, and we've got free video courses on all things local. It's possibly a really good way to kick off the new year by getting all of your training done and getting some new skills under your tool belt. Make sure you sign up to our email newsletter to find out when the next webinar will be, and all of the latest from BrightLocal as well. And if you want to continue the conversation after the webinar, head on over to our Facebook group. It's called The Local Pack. We'll drop a link there in the comments. We've now got over 5,000 members in the group asking and answering questions on local SEO. So if you're not there, I would recommend that you join it. It's a fun place to be. And if you want to let us know how we did, I would really appreciate hearing your thoughts. We've got a link to a quick follow-up survey. It will only take about 30 seconds to fill in. So thank you again to our panel. It's been a pleasure to have you on, and to everyone that joined us today. Yeah, we'll see you next time. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.